everybody, and welcome to Download Youth Ministry web show.
Yeah,
web show. That's what we call it. Episode 236, and we have a special guest,
Katie Edwards.
Hey! Doug Field's here. I've been put in the middle because Katie felt uncomfortable in the middle.
So
So
it's on camera. It's not me.
Yeah, you didn't like it, so we're our mojo's thrown off a little bit. So you're gonna have to kind of keep Matt under control.
I got it.
Matt McGill, Katie Edwards, Josh, the regulars,
Hello.
and you're wearing a name tag.
That's right. Yeah, because I mean, a lot of people don't know. It's very fancy.
That is fancy. So anyway, Duffy Robbins is here. Duffy, if for some reason somebody has been kind of living in a youth ministry hole, introduce yourself.
Who are you?
Duffy Robbins. Yeah, that's my name, and I live in Valley Forge, Pennsylvania. I teach youth ministry at Eastern University, Christian liberal arts school, and been doing youth ministry since I was a teenager, basically. That was a long time ago.
That was a couple years back.
Yeah, that's right. It's good. Fun to be here.
So
and how cool to have members of our studio audience. That's great.
That's right.
Yeah, just want to welcome everybody. There's a good crowd today.
This is a big deal.
Yeah.
Now, let's be honest. Have you ever watched one of our web shows?
Okay, I intend to.
Thank you for being honest, though.
Yeah.
Most people would just fake that.
No,
and
most people have integrity.
Interesting idea.
This is a big deal because Duffy's kind of a legend in youth ministry.
Kind of.
He's written really thick. Like
Yeah.
Duffy and I travel a lot
That's kind of my
together,
gift.
and
Thick.
we speak at some of the same stuff. And so when we do our Speaking to Teenagers event, which we wrote a book together, I always pitch Duffy's books as like this thing. Look at how big this is. I mean, he's got these thick books. So if you put it next to a door, it will keep the door open.
Absolutely.
While you read this little book.
And the crowd laughs when you say that, right?
Yeah, sometimes they laugh.
He's like 5 times the mogul that you are.
Oh yeah, no.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, define mogul.
Just pure awesome.
Writer, speaker, and awesomeness. Yeah.
If you mean it in terms of thickness.
Well, Duffy's in town because Youth Specialties is doing a team training here in Orange County, and Duffy is speaking at that. So Duffy, one of the things we start off the show with is we thank our sponsors. Youth Specialties is our primary sponsor. They actually pay.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Does anybody watch? I mean,
Does
are people
anybody
watching
watch
this? Yeah.
Live right now?
No.
Yeah.
We don't have a live show happening
right.
right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's recorded live.
But I mean, people are watching. People will watch it when we do it.
When
it
they
comes.
press play
and
on
when
this
does it
video,
come?
your voice is going to be sent to their computer.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
Changes
called a
everything.
podcast.
Does it change everything? You just thought we were sitting around, right?
Yeah.
No, it's on our website. People subscribe to it with iTunes. There's this thing, Duff. It's a little bit cultish called a rewinder. That means we've done 236 episodes going back 5 years.
Yeah, more than that now.
And some people start at
Some
episode.
people go all the way back to the beginning and watch all of them.
Oh my gosh! Like Breaking Bad.
Yeah, it's like Breaking Bad.
It's like Brad.
Our
Your show is
podcast is
exactly
just
like
like Breaking Bad.
That's the name of the
Same
show.
amount
Thank
of
you.
drugs.
Yeah.
Anyway, Youth Specialties is our primary sponsor. We're also very, very grateful to YM360, Azusa Pacific University, and Leader Trek.
Is that accredited now?
No, that's
Eastern.
Yeah. No, I understand. Eastern is a great college for those who can't get into Azusa.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that.
So in
Teach
California,
there.
Valley Forge. You
Yeah.
choose.
That's right.
Exactly.
I'm just amazed that Valley Forge is an actual place where people live. It just sounds like it's a
Tough-
battle or
tough winter.
historical or something.
Yeah. And was there ever a battle fought there?
I don't know.
There was not.
There was not. It was a winter campsite
Yeah.
for George
Yeah.
Washington, our beloved first president.
But that you asked that as if most people
Homeschool.
would say yes.
Nicely done.
The Battle of Valley Forge, that didn't ever happen.
It never happened.
American. That's what I
Yeah.
am. I just
Yeah.
care about our country.
That's good.
Yeah. But we almost lost the war there
Really?
by virtue of our army
Absolutely.
starving to death.
Yeah.
Yeah. So not a lot of good crops there.
Great university.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
good.
no,
So far,
it's
so
good.
good.
It's
Hey,
good fun.
yeah.
Do you want to just
No,
So,
talk about
see you guys
talk about at Eastern.
Something interesting.
Maybe the
change
one
it? In other words, change it.
If you don't mind.
the one person maybe more famous than you there is Tony Campolo.
And Shane Claiborne.
Oh, Shane
Wait,
Claiborne.
both
Yeah.
are
Wasn't
they're
he
both
in your,
from Valley
your
Forge?
he was one of my-
classes?
Yeah, he was one of my students. Yeah.
Wow. So if people went
Shane-
to do youth
So, but
ministry-
really, I mean, Shane, I think more people know. I mean, you're right. Tony, without question, is kind of the, he's kind of
Well,
the
he
guy,
likes to
and he has
cuss,
been
and that always
forever.
gets a crowd.
But Shane, nowadays, it used to be everywhere I went, people go, oh, that's where Tony Campolo teaches, and now they go, that's where Shane Claiborne went
Claiborne.
to school and stuff.
Yeah.
Duff, you speak you're on the road every weekend. You speak to teenagers a ton, youth workers maybe a little bit less, but wouldn't you say your primary audience is teenagers? So
yeah, it's probably about half and half.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you
Who's
see?
the other half? I just missed that part. No.
Youth workers.
What happens when you talk when other people are talking?
Just trying to carry the show over here.
What do you see? What's happening in the landscape of youth ministry? What do you sense is kind of new, different, interesting to you?
Oh man, I am not. Because we've had conversations about it. I'm not really good at answering that question because I honestly think in most of it, the big stuff, it's kind of the same. I mean, you basically have to love kids, hang out with kids. You have to love Jesus yourself as a youth worker. You need to help kids develop that relationship. Now, of course, all the tools and stuff change, but I mean, I'm amazed at how little has changed in that respect. And actually, I also think when one gets down deep enough, even the questions that kids are asking ultimately are precisely the same questions they've been asking for centuries. I mean, so in that respect, I'm not. I mean, I know we've talked about this, but so I don't really see. I mean, I think they're on the surface. There are changes certainly. I think in terms of youth workers being certainly more professional, or more studied and more thoughtful about what we do. It's not as much shoot from the hip as it used to be. And that's a good thing, but it also has a downside, I think. But probably some of the intensity of the kids' pain the pain is intensified, and that puts us as youth workers in more, I think, deep, difficult spots in terms of the issues that we have to confront, and we have to deal with, and that's hard. But I mean. All those things are kind of relative, really. I mean, in large part, it's pretty much what it has always been. At least that's kind of my perception.
Great. And you guys want to follow up with that?
Beautiful.
All right.
That's great.
This is a letter from John Rogers, Duffy. John Rogers is the minister to students at First Baptist Church, Fort Payne,
Alabama.
Another great battle was fought there.
Yep.
That's very difficult.
He's been in his church a little over 2 years. He had several parents and my pastor recommend that we do some new things. Don't you love that? When parents and the pastor recommends that you do new things.
Code for maybe you suck a little bit.
Yeah. Right after summer camp, I began working on researching and promoting the logistics for a couple of new events. One is over spring break in March. These events have essentially fallen flat on their face, and the majority of folks that said they were going to support these events, students and adults, are nowhere to be found. I was also just told a week or so ago that spring break events have often failed in the past due to family vacations, student sporting events, etc. There is a desire for more discipleship-oriented events between fall and summer, but when push comes to shove, it has not worked out. I'm working on some alternative plans already, but just wanted to put the feelers out there to see if you had any serious or not so serious words of wisdom.
It's good to be known.
Yeah. He says this is the first full-time church, relatively smaller congregation in Northeast Alabama with 40 kids at best on Wednesday night.
That's good stuff.
Yeah. Man, how frustrating is that, John? I mean, to have your leadership and the parents go,
that's Matt, it's not John.
John's the guy that
okay. I thought you were. Okay. I know Matt's kind of new. Yeah, Matt. Yeah. Matt.
I mean, that's frustrating. He's going to do some new things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, isn't that, I mean, part of that is definitely a leadership deal is that, oftentimes we run and jump because a parent or pastor says something and we march down a track, and oftentimes they were just commenting, not necessarily giving a directive. Right. Mm-hmm. And so I think one of the leadership principles in this as leaders that we've got to sit back and say, okay, let me make sure that I'm understanding you, pastor. Are you asking that we do X, Y, and Z? Yeah. Get him or her on the line for that, and then move in that direction. But it's not. I mean, this is not an unusual thing for
starting new stuff's hard.
Well, for people to say you ought to do something and then not support it when it inconveniences them.
Yeah. Well, I think sometimes too we get some feedback or some direction, and we immediately go all in. So they're like, we need to have a little more discipleship in our ministry. And you're like, 12 weeks, and I bought this curriculum, and you're like, over the top.
Yeah. It's worth doing, it's worth overdoing.
Well, that's what I think maybe we do, where we go all in on everything. Well, what if, instead of doing all that, what if you said, we're going to do a 1-week class, 3 nights of this week, and we're going to give it a little experiment and see if you can build some momentum, gain a little credibility, kind of, see if that format works, rather than saying 12 weeks every Wednesday, this is what we're doing. We're studying this whole book of the Bible. Well, just try 3 or 4 nights and see how that goes, too.
Yeah, start teaching the Bible on Wednesday nights.
You make a great parent.
I think it's good, too. I mean, he kind of mentions that, like, spring break's not a good time. So even really thinking through, like, what are the great seasons to start something new?
Yeah.
And even talking to some of the parents about that, like what are great seasons for families and things like that, and kind of looking at the school calendar and when things are happening so you can kind of plan accordingly. And I think with new events, plan to start small. Plan that you're only going to get a handful of students for a first-time event. I think you have to do things twice before you kill it.
Don't judge it
but
yet.
But if you plan for it to have 5 students out at the first time you do it and then grow it from there, I think that's a good kind of mentality to have when you're starting new things. So
there's really never a good time to start something, because I see the spring break thing and I go, for Matt and I, some of our best ministry took place over spring break.
Right.
And kids, because it became the thing to be at,
people skipped their sports.
They all of a sudden sacrificed other things and went on the spring break thing, and it was very, very successful until Josh took it over, and then pretty much
tanked that one.
Yeah, but you've done other things real well.
My first big leadership move was cancel that thing. It was so much work. I just want to be lazy. I don't know. Why would you?
It was a lot of work. It was a lot of work.
But it started.
For one of the two of us.
That was something that started small that grew into something
exactly.
amazing, and it became culture. So, and sometimes that takes a few years. But as youth pastors, we are the most impatient crew. We want it to be awesome first time out, and sometimes it takes 2 or 3 years for a cool event to kind of really find its place.
And the whole, because was it do something deeper? Was that part
of something new?
Do something new.
Well, then the pastor said he wanted discipleship
events.
New and deeper. Yeah. That's.
Very specific. Specific, and yet,
covers a lot.
Good luck.
Of the year, right there.
Exactly.
Just
but
retool.
That's one thing that we, you started, not for all of Christendom, but for the ministry that I experienced as a kid and then got to serve in. The idea of just pushing discipleship tools, it's basic spiritual discipline stuff where you're empowering kids to do that on their own. And you're also, it's not a requirement thing. It's not one that you give it to everybody and, and make the sauce, the secret sauce behind it is that, hey, this is available. You ought to be praying on your own. Here's something that'll help you pray. And then whoever wants to take it wants to take it. Mm-hmm. Hey, you ought to be memorizing scripture. Here's why you should. If you want to take the psalm, take it, make it happen, it'll be great. Whereas there you're saying, hey, well, we do have a real discipleship element to our ministry. We're encouraging kids to connect with God on their own, and so on and so forth.
But I think actually this situation, and it's very, very common in John's struggles. So everybody, I think a lot of folks are familiar with. To me, it actually sort of indicates a deeper issue, and that is that I don't think really people in the congregation, a lot of congregations, know why we have a youth ministry.
Right.
So the idea is let's have activities, and we've been doing activities, so do a new activity, and it's almost like saying to a doctor, hey, the kidney operation didn't work, remove a colon. I mean, it's just the idea of kind of just do something. It's that this is something must be done, therefore let's do it. I think to me it really goes back to cite a book titled Purpose Driven. It really goes back to say, well, what is it that we are called to do? Because to me, it seems like the focus on this is activity when Scripture calls it to productivity. And even when you say, well, we got discipleship activities, that's good, but that sort of presumes that people know we're actually trying to build disciples. And I'm not sure that a lot of parents or a lot of pastors, I don't think that's articulated. Right. And I also think, and this is the leadership thing, that while I sympathize with John's frustration, and I've been in that same situation, to some extent, I think we as youth workers have to recognize we've got to own the responsibility of being the vision casters in residence for the youth. In other words, if the parents in the congregation don't know this stuff, that's not their fault per se.
Yeah.
And my experience was always that it wasn't when I went to a congregation and I said, here's kind of my vision. They never had an alternative. They just had no vision. In other words, it wasn't like, no, we like our vision better. They just had no vision. And quite often when they sort of understood, oh, I see.
Yeah.
There was some response. Now, not that everybody's going to get on board immediately, but I do think it's Eugene Peterson has this phrase about, are we going to be spiritual directors or program directors? And I think the emphasis in our congregations often move us in the direction of program direction, but really it's about discipleship and spiritual direction. And he has this phrase that where he says we've given up, we forfeit our vocation so that we can do our job. And most congregations, it's true for pastors too, they're quite willing for you to do your job. But that's not really what most of us have a vocation that we're pursuing. That's where the passion is. And I think it's going back to that, articulating that, thinking that through, and then being able to articulate that to pastor and parents and kids.
Duff, I've been on the road with you for many years. We've done a lot of events together. That's the longest I've ever heard you talk without mentioning one of your books.
What? You're not supposed to make fun of the guests.
He's only a guest to you.
Yeah.
He's a dear friend. No, but one of the things I was thinking about...
Totally cool to say I'm one of your dear friends.
Is Duffy has written a ton of books on discipleship.
Yeah.
So
I was hoping.
Yeah. Speaking of that, let's go ahead and
we're going to get some of those downloaded on downloadyouthministry.com. Is what we really
So building disciples that last.
Yeah. Let me actually give them the correct title. It's building a youth ministry that builds disciples.
Building a youth ministry that builds disciples. Okay.
But that
great.
But that used to be a previous one. I read it first edition.
Oh, that's right. There was actually the very first one's called Programming to Build Disciples. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that way back. But that book is
no longer in print, but it is.
Well, Program to Build Disciples. I think it's actually written on a codex. But this guy John, you would really no codex. That's a scroll. It's not.
Oh, papyrus. I'm back.
Not papyrus font.
Even worse.
But no, that I think would be helpful for John. I think that book.
And you've also demonstrated an excellent use of name. Like, we typically don't say people's names that many times. But
I heard 3-4 Johns.
You're very personal. I'm learning a lot from you. You got to do your own podcast.
Doug, I agree with that. Doug.
All right.
Dude, you ever thought about maybe joining us every week? We got an open spot over there.
Yeah,
Matt's in it today.
Would I have to watch it?
No, Katie still has never seen a show. Well,
no, Katie's watched the show. Here's what Katie watches. She watches the shows like we did at the National Youth Workers Convention.
I watched those.
Yeah, we've done 2 live shows. She was on one of them, but didn't watch, and then watched the one she wasn't on. She kind of likes to see how she
catch up.
Size up the competition.
Size up the competition.
There's no competition. Jana is amazing.
She's pretty great.
She's pretty great.
You're right. Don't even worry about it.
So
this is from Jared Edgeworth. He says, I love what you guys do.
Jared.
Oh, Jared.
Subway sandwiches.
I am a rewinder and just recently became a DYM member. So rewinder means they went all the way back. I've been watching ever since.
Yeah. Let's just right now stop and pray for Jared.
Yeah.
What is going on in his life?
We actually have some double rewinders.
Talk about giving up your vocation.
Just giving up all hope whatsoever.
Yeah. And here's how much we like him. He says, I recently became a DYM member, and if you're not a member, you're not doing youth ministry right. So there you go.
Name for your next book.
There you go. It wasn't long enough.
Yeah, it needs to be a little longer.
I also took 4th in season 2 of the Weight Challenge.
All right. Youthpastordiet.com. Check that out.
What place are you in?
I'm also in 4th. or 11th right now, whatever, one of those two. You
So
somewhere in between.
Duff, here's the deal. How many people? Tell Duffy briefly what's going on.
I, one Thursday, decided I'm going to lose some weight, and I should have some other youth pastors do it. So I announced it on Twitter. 75 people joined the competition. We've had a great time. We're now on season 4. And it's percentage of weight loss, and there's like 75 youth workers in it right now.
Each week they cut people off.
Each week we cut people off. No, you just check in your weight, and then at the end there's big prizes, Download Youth Ministry downloads and freebies and whatever. Okay. So it's a little community of fat pastors, basically. So that's us.
Now, here's what I would like to know. You've done it 4 times now?
Yeah.
Do you gain the weight back that you lose each time?
I lose more than I gain. So there is a little bit of a net.
Effect. We like to call that delta. Right, Fadi? Fadi, did I use that correctly?
Delta?
Right. Yeah, it's the delta.
It's
the delta between the net and the gross.
All right. So I'm doing good, though. I'm down about 45 overall, so I'm happy about
fantastic.
that. Yeah. Still got a little ways to go.
Before I get to my question, I want to thank you, principals. Here's the question. I've been involved in youth ministry for quite some time, about 15 years, currently in my 6th year at this church.
Excellent.
Having recently built my volunteer team, I now feel like we're ready to start finding ways to reach students in our community. I wanted to know what are some of the best ways that you've found over the years to meet students where they are, rather than expect them to show up Sunday night for youth service. Our kids bring in friends on occasion, but most of the friends are Christian students who attend other churches, and I have little interest in stealing other students. I have a large makeup of nerds and passive students in our ministry. Getting them to bring students who aren't close friends has always been difficult.
Usually a reflection of the pastor. That's all.
Seriously.
That being said, they do rise to the occasion when they are inspired. Personally, I'm not big on rewarding students with prizes for bringing in friends, though I do that on occasion. I feel like it misses the point. We've recently gotten on board with Dare to Share, and I think this will help us get where we want to be. I want us to be involved in our community and not wait for them to come to us, but go to them. Talking about a bus ministry hopes to start. Any suggestions or specific ideas would be great. And that's Jared.
He seems like he's got a lot of them already.
Yeah, I think he's on the right track. Yeah, we love Dare to Share. Greg Steer runs that organization. Very student evangelism focused.
Boil his down. What is it?
He just, every day we should be sharing the gospel with our friends, family, whatever.
So that's the only thing, is you just tell your students every day to share the gospel? That's the only thing he does, and he does events?
He does big events, rally people together, encourage them, train them, equip them.
There's like a book students can read. I mean, there's like a little program that they do. Yeah.
But I mean,
he's like the one guy that's out there that's ringing the bell on evangelism.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah. Not a healthy youth ministry.
Why don't you like him, Matt?
No, does it sound like I don't like him?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
No, I need a little bit more support.
Yeah, Matt's not real soft.
No, what I was trying to say is...
Just smile.
There's got to be...
Just be nicer.
What can we put in Jared's...
Just
What can you put in
watch
Jared's
Josh.
hand and says, hey,
That's
Jared,
what I'm trying to say. Well, I'm trying to understand where Jared's
What are
at.
some
So if
takeaways?
he's already doing Dare to Share, maybe he doesn't need any more ideas. I mean, what is it? What does Dare to Share mean for him?
Dare to share more.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm truly asking. I don't know what Dare to Share. I
It's
mean,
a
I know he
humility.
does great events.
It's not anger,
I
it's
know
humility.
what's that? Me?
Yeah. It's
Right.
wisdom.
No, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not angry at anything.
Yeah.
What's happening here?
Matt, you've lost all control of this show.
Yes.
I thought you were the host.
All right, so what are the ideas? He's looking for ideas.
Well, I think like being on the on the campuses, finding out what's happening on campus, and whether it's FCA or there's sports or things happening that you can be a part of. There's so many natural ways to meet students and talk with students when you're just on the campus and the place that they are. So, what's happening?
Do you do that in junior high?
It's tough in junior high here because our campuses are closed. So we've found a couple of ways around that, just to have a little bit of a campus presence. But it's tougher in junior high. High school, it's a lot easier. So, yeah.
Cool. Josh, tell Duffy about You Own the Weekend, which I think is one of the coolest things
You
that
on the
do.
weekend, it was interesting.
Since you canceled the spring break trip that was so successful.
Yeah, I had to replace it with something. Well, it's not a book.
Own,
but
O-W-N.
Exactly. You own the weekend. I was talking with a student, and he was just saying, man, I would love it if students could just take over sometime and just do youth group. And we had a great conversation. I didn't think too much more of it at that moment, but it eventually led to an idea where we decided to give students complete ownership of our youth group. So for an entire week, a high school gets to own the weekend. The message, testimony, videos, music, whatever they want to do.
Promotion.
It's on them. Promotion, decorations, they go crazy. And what happened was students owned the program, but our theme with it was everyone in every school gets an invitation to church. So if you go to Trabuco Hills High School, every student is going to get an invitation to come to church. And it became our biggest series of the year, record attendance, unbelievable.
Bigger than sex series.
Absolutely, yes. Far bigger than even when we talk about subjects like sex and whatnot. So we would have students that, I'm sharing my testimony, come hear me share my testimony. And they would bring family, friends, neighbor, everybody, because they were so invested in the service and in the program and invested in the mission of it that they brought their friends. So we emphasize bringing your friends to youth group, all that stuff. But man, during You on the Weekend, it is a game changer.
And how many You on the Weekends are there?
We do. We're increasing it to 6 this year. So we have 6 different high schools, and they will each own it for one weekend. And so we've talked about it. It's not until March. It's January right now. We've already promoted the dates. We've already got some students picked out to share, and they own it all 100%.
And it's more work.
Way more work.
People think to do this. It's not like you're taking 6 weeks off.
But
it is
oversee it, manage it, prep it, screen
is it 6 consecutive weekends?
Yeah. And it creates a little bit of this competition idea, like
the school spirit mixed with
Yeah, I mean it is. Everybody shows up in their their Letterman's jackets, their team colors,
the mascots, inflatables out. I mean it's
they try to outdo one another, but there's always a presentation of the gospel.
Well, and they give their own money, so we don't have a budget to give them. So they take up donations. They make T-shirts. The T-shirt says "Ask me about you on the weekend," and they wear them to school for the whole week. And so I mean, everyone in the school knows about this event, and they come and hear about Jesus.
Didn't you have a teacher come to Christ through that?
Yeah.
What was the story with that?
I've been talking to him to have him come back and share, but a teacher heard about it and then slowly investigated and watched the lives of these students in his class. And eventually is now a member at our church because of
That's awesome.
It was amazing. In fact, I did a wedding not too long, it was probably been a year ago now, and the soon-to-be husband and wife met at a You on the Weekend planning meeting. So I mean, and one of them was like not a follower of Jesus or not a part of the church or whatever. So it's just fun. So many of the stories of life change in our ministry, evangelism, they have a direct connection to this series. So we still do a couple big events a year. We're not a big event ministry either. We still talk about bringing our friends, but at the end of the day, You on the Weekend is, and summer camp.
Well, and it goes back to what that first question we talked about is that it didn't start that way.
Yeah.
So it's huge now, but it didn't start that way. So it goes back to kind of what you said when we start something small, that if somebody is to embrace that idea, it took a while for it to catch on, but now it's part of the culture.
We called it an experiment. We said we're going to give this a shot, and then we had low expectations, quite honestly, and it totally surprised us. Now it's a tradition. Now it's our culture. Now there are students that were in junior high that have heard about it for years, and now they get to come in and own it themselves. Yeah. So, and if you're interested in You on the Weekend, we actually have a resource on Download Youth Ministry. Everything that I've learned, I just dumped into this Word document. We've had a couple other churches that have done it and also spoken into the document, and it's kind of caught on. So it's a fun.
That reminds me of my book, Building a Youth Ministry.
There it is.
Yeah.
But don't you think student involvement is such a magnet for evangelism? Any kind of student involvement, because students are excited and proud of what they're doing, and they invite people to come and be a part of it.
Yeah.
So anytime students are doing a testimony or singing or they're involved and invested in some way, that is a huge testimony, for their friends and family.
I think that was the biggest surprise for me, that student involvement is evangelistic. I was like, what? That didn't totally click. And now that I've seen it 6-7 years in a row, I totally get it. Yeah. And even when it's not You on the Weekend and someone is helping, someone's running the PowerPoint or whatever, they're like, come watch me run the play.
Or the play.
Yeah, we did a Christmas play this year.
Or somebody getting baptized. There's just so many different things that students are excited to invite people to outside of the service.
So do you ever feel guilty about canceling the spring break trip?
In all honesty, no. I spend spring break with my kids. It's the most wonderful week of the year.
He didn't cancel it.
Sorry you got canceled.
Yeah, sorry you got canceled.
Sorry, I got canceled.
Have you seen the T-shirt right here? Sorry you got canned.
Oh, sorry you got canned.
Yeah,
My
that's right.
position was terminated a year ago.
A year and a week ago.
So a year and a week ago.
We just celebrated his 1 year anniversary. It was a
we
big
just-
moment. We had a
that's
cake.
right. That's
It was-
right.
So
That's
that
great.
people write in, we didn't get it, but almost everybody that writes in starts with saying, "Matt, sorry you got canned."
Yeah.
And it's been kind
Brutal.
of a running
Just is.
running
Brutal
deal.
and
That's
Hey,
why
here's
I'm angry.
here's the deal. Normally we do about a 45-minute show.
But this one's getting a little slow.
Yeah, we're gonna cut it here. We're trying something new, Duff. We got a new set. We're trying some. We're gonna try a 30-minute show. So we're gonna stop it here. We also have.
Could I just continue maybe in another room?
Yeah, that'd be great.
You're welcome to.
Because
talk
right
with
now we have, and for those of you watching, it'll
Me and
be
John.
next week. Should we say it'll be next week?
Yeah, next week.
Next week we will have Mark Matlock.
We were special
got
guest
Mark
heavy.
Matlock?
Mark Matlock.
Next week.
You know, he's read
for
my
you.
book, Building a Youth Ministry.
I've heard about that book. What was the name of it again? I just want to make sure I don't forget.
Building
Yeah.
a Youth
Totally.
Ministry, yeah.
So next show, episode 237, the Honorable President of Youth Specialties, Mark Matlock.
That's
We're going to have to
awesome.
make sure we mention
You
YS
bring in the heavy hitters.
Yeah.
because he needs to know this is.
Instead
Yeah.
of names, we'll just say YS all the time.
And this one comes in from
Yeah.
YS. What a great organization they are. Great
Thanks,
events
YS.
all over the country.
He's actually sitting right here, ready to come on. So you missed the fact that
He's ready.
he doesn't listen to it either, even though they're the
It's
primary
fine.
sponsors of our show. So anyway, Duffy, how do you feel about wrap this whole thing up
Yeah.
in a wrap?
Happy trail to you.
We've never ended with a song.
See.
Yeah. No, it's been great. It's been delightful, low key, a little too structured, but
A little
other
too
than
structured
that,
for
yeah.
you. That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
How'd you
Things
feel
that
about
have never
Matt
been
talking
said.
over you while you were trying to talk?
You know what? Matt and I are kindred spirits. I totally get Matt.
Yeah.
I like Matt.
Yeah.
I thank you for liking
Wow,
Yeah,
you're
even though he's
validated.
angry?
I like
You
you
were just
too.
I
validated.
like angry people. A little.
Yeah. They buy
Give you
books.
something to pray for.
They buy books. Exactly.
That's right. All right, everybody. You're the best. Send your questions in to webshow at downloadyouthministry.com. Once again, we thank our sponsors, primarily Youth Specialties.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
We done?
Take care, John.
Wow. And